Welcome guys, thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today I have a really great video for you guys. I've spent a long time working on it. But if you like this content, please subscribe down below and like and turn notifications on so you don't miss a video. So what we're going to go over today is basically managing your portfolio. So I've got a lot of questions on how do I pick my portfolio. But I'm not going to exactly show you that, but what I want to show you guys is how you weight it can make a huge impact later on. And I know that sounds like common sense, but we're going to go through about 15 or 16 different examples from the past market cycle and how you would have fared if you had weighted things differently. So the first thing we're going to look at is if you had invested $1,000 in the top 10 cryptocurrencies on November 15th, 2015. So that's basically, 4 years ago in the market cycle. And if we assume a 4-year market cycle, then we're basically at the same point. Now, obviously, it's not clear if it's going to be an exact 4-year market cycle, but let's just move forward with that idea for now. So if you had invested $1,000 in the top 10 cryptocurrencies on November 15th, 2015, and weighted them by market cap, you would have put this much money into each coin. Now, it might not add up exactly to $100 because all these are rounded. But it's basically, or $1,000, but it is basically $1,000. So you would have put $923 into Bitcoin, $27 into XRP, $26 into Litecoin, etc. Now, if you were to just to do that and then you held it for the entire next 4 years, this is what your portfolio would have done if you had bought that $1,000 basically 4 years ago. Now, you would have peaked at $92,000, almost $93,000, and you would currently have around $24,000. So not too bad. I mean, given that it was only a $1,000 investment, peaking at $100,000 basically is 100x. I mean, that's incredible. So even just weighting by market cap is a fine way to go. It's a fine way to go. And people say, oh, you should weight it by market cap, weight it by whatever. But what we're going to do is we're going to investigate how we should weight it, because it's not always smart to just take other people's word for it. Let's investigate what is a good way to weight your portfolio. Is it by market cap, or how would we weight it by market cap? If we were to weight it by the square root of market cap, which means that basically it's going to minimize contributions to the larger market caps, and it allows you to put a little bit more into the smaller market caps. So we're weighting it by the square root of market cap. You would have put around $580 into Bitcoin and $98 into XRP and Litecoin, and you would have actually seen a much better return on your investment. Now, obviously, this is not to say that it would happen again. In fact, I'm a big proponent of having, a decent portion in Bitcoin. But this is just, you have to weigh your own risk reward. And we're going to go into how you manage that. Not that this is financial advice or anything. This is just how I do it. Not to say, that it's going to ever happen again, but if you're looking into different ways of managing your portfolio, I think this could be this kind of analysis is really helpful for me, anyways. So you would have peaked if you had weighted it by the square root of market cap. You'd have peaked at $237,000, and which is really good. I mean, you basically would have done 2.5 times or so what you would have done if you had just weighted it by market cap, and it's pretty impressive as far as I'm concerned. And now you would have around $40,000. So you would have about $15,000 more if you had weighted it by the square root of market cap. Now, it kind of begs the question that, okay, well, if we weight it by market cap, we get X, and if we weight it by the square root of market cap, we get Y. There's got to be some optimal value. So what power could we raise market cap to such that it would have given you the optimal portfolio? Now, every coin in the top 10 has to be raised by the same power. So that's one key, because we didn't know which coins were going to do the best. But it's just a simple optimization problem. So I wrote a code to run the optimization on it, and it turns out that if you had weighted it by market cap to the 0.099649 power, this is what you would have ended up doing. You would have basically, it's incredible, you would have basically put around $100 into each coin. I mean, it varies. This would have been $159, this would have been like $82, but you would have peaked at $335,000, and you would currently be worth, your portfolio would currently be worth around $40,000. That's not too bad, considering that the optimal value would have actually been putting around $100 into each coin. Now, considering that, what if we did just put $100 into each coin? What if we forego all of this, complicated mess and just say, okay, well, I'm just going to put $100 in the top 10 coins and we'll see what happens? Well, if you had done that in 2015, it would have basically, as shown here, it would have given you basically the same thing. Instead of being worth $335,000 at the peak, it would have been worth $330,000, and instead of being worth $40,000 currently, it'd be worth $37,000. This is an interesting way to go. I will remind you again that this does not mean it's going to happen again. Does not mean that if you put $1,000 into the top 10 today that you will see these exact returns. In fact, I'm pretty sure it won't be quite this high, because each market cycle, as I've shown in some logarithmic regression videos, each market cycle gets subsequently less. That doesn't mean there aren't going to be some coins that completely outdo others. In fact, there will be, and there will be some coins that are going to do way, or they're going to be much more impressive in their return, their ROI, than other coins. But this is, so far we've only covered 4 different scenarios, and you can see just how differently, depending on how you weight things, can make a huge difference in a few years' time. I mean, you can see the growth throughout these 4 different market caps, or weighting by market caps. Now, what if we had basically we knew which coin in the top 10 was going to perform the best, okay? And instead of that, actually, and really just saying what could we have done to maximize our peak value of our portfolio if we had $1,000 in 2015 on November 15th, where could we have put it to maximize our return? Well, it turns out that even though I allowed all of the top 10 coin percentages to vary, it turns out you would have done the best if you would just put everything into Ethereum. In fact, if you had put $1,000 into Ethereum on November 15th, 2015, it would have been worth around 1.6 million at the peak, and you would have currently had around $200,000 today. Now, clearly, it's hard to predict exactly which coin is going to take off, but it's impressive that $1,000 could have turned into 1.5 million, almost 1.6 million, and still 200,000 even today, and it would have just been putting $1,000 into Ethereum. Now, what if, and this is something I've spoken about on a lot of other videos, what if we weighted it by market cap, and then once Bitcoin reaches a previous all-time high, we take half of our Bitcoin holdings and then re-weight them into the other coins weighted by market cap. Now, I hope that doesn't sound too confusing. Picking the one coin that was going to give you this kind of a return is a little far-fetched, or it's way far-fetched. It's not going to happen for most people. It's too difficult to pick, like the coin and to put just your money on that one, because you could easily miss out. So again, what we're looking at now is, weighting it by market cap initially, and then when Bitcoin reaches its previous all-time high, which occurred in the first quarter of 2017, you take out half of your Bitcoin holdings and you reallocate them to the other 9 cryptocurrencies in the top 10, or that were in the top 10 back in 2015, and you reweight them by market cap. And it would have given you this light blue curve that you see here. So basically, it would have given you around the same thing as just if you had done $100 per coin. So, it would have been starting off with this 923 in Bitcoin, and then after after a couple years or a year and a half, whenever Bitcoin reached its previous all-time high, you would have reweighted it, and actually you would have ended up around the same as if you had just done $100 in each coin and never reweighted anything. Now, what happens if you weight it by market cap, and then once Bitcoin reaches its previous all-time high, you take half of your Bitcoin value and you know where to put it. You know exactly which coin is going to do the best. In this case, it would have been XRP. So if you had done that, if you had taken half of your Bitcoin holding after weighting it by market cap, then your peak value would have been worth 910,000, and your later on it would have been worth around 82,000. So clearly, that's one of those things that is not, it's hard to know like what exactly the coin was going to do. Like, it's hard to say, okay, well, I know this coin is the one to put it in. But if you just had taken half of your Bitcoin holdings and put it into XRP, once Bitcoin reached its previous all-time high, your peak value would have been 910,000. So I know this is getting a little bit convoluted, but I promise we're going to move on to a different type scenarios in a minute. But I do want to cover another one here. So here's an interesting one. So if you had initially weighted by market cap, and then once Bitcoin reached its previous all-time high, you took 9/10 of your Bitcoin value and you maximized your peak, which you wouldn't have known what it would have been, but if you could have known, it would have been moving it all to XRP at that time, and it would have been worth around 1.5 million. Yeah, so it would have been worth 1.5 million, and it would have been worth around, let's see, 124,000 today. So clearly, it's hard to say. Well, I don't know exactly where to put it. So this first part of the video is just to kind of give you an idea of what could have happened. And some of these are pretty sensible. If you just put $100 in each coin, you would have peaked at 330. If you had just weighted them by market cap, you would have peaked at 92,000. If you had weighted it by square root of market cap, you would have peaked at 237,000. So it's pretty interesting, just by looking at some of these pretty basic ways to weight your portfolio, what could have happened. And remember, this is just the top 10 cryptos. This does not include all the other ones or anything like that. So let's move on to the next one. So I remind you, this is one we've already seen, but I just want to clear the page. Here we are. We're just waiting by market cap. So we're back. We're only using 923 for Bitcoin, and then the rest you can see are very small amounts. And it would have peaked at 92,000. Now, what would have happened if we had weighted it by market cap, excluding Bitcoin? We just say, I don't care about Bitcoin, which I'm not saying you should do, because you should care about Bitcoin. But if you decided, you know what, I'm just going to forego that extra risk, and or I'm going to take on that extra risk, you actually would have done quite well. You would have peaked at 560,000 because you would have ended up putting around over $300 in both XRP and Litecoin, which did really well. And then really the most benefit you would have gotten, I think, would have been from Ethereum, because you would have been putting 171 or 172 into Ethereum instead of 13, and Ethereum did astronomically well. So maximizing by market cap, excluding Bitcoin, you would have actually done about 5 or 6 times better had you just done it by market cap. One thing I should point out is that during that period of time, the market cap of Bitcoin was much higher in terms of the overall market cap than it is today. So today it would be quite different, because the market cap of Bitcoin, is like 60 to 70. It oscillates, but it's less than 75%. I think it's like 60 or low 70s, or it kind of oscillates around that area. So it would look quite different today if you were to weight things by market cap. You would not be putting 923 into Bitcoin. It might be 600 or 700 into Bitcoin. But the market was very different back then. So I just want to remind you guys, please subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to grow it. And this video, I literally spent like almost my entire weekend making it. It was a lot of stuff, and you guys have been great with the great feedback, so I wanted to just take the time to make this video. Another thing is, what happens if we were to weight it by market cap and excluded the top 2 cryptocurrencies? So it would have been Bitcoin and XRP at the time. You would have actually peaked at 507,000, and you would have now been worth 66,000 almost. If you had excluded Bitcoin, XRP, and Litecoin, so the top 3, you would have peaked at almost $1 million. And the reason is because you would have been putting all of this towards Ethereum, and Ethereum outperformed the rest of them by a mile. Now the issue is that we didn't know which one was going to take off. We didn't know it was going to be Ethereum. I mean, and to be fair, a lot of the other coins did really well too. It's not, they did really had great ROIs. It's just that Ethereum had a better one for the most part. So here, excluding the top 3, you would have done pretty well. Now, what if you had excluded the top 4? So if you had excluded all the way down to Ethereum, you would have ended up putting 240 into Dash, 224 into Doge, and I mean, you can see these other coins down here that most people probably don't even know what they are anymore. But you would have seen a significant loss if you were just going from top 3 to top 4. So you would have missed out on around $700,000. And instead of being currently worth, just if compared to the top 3 exclusions, instead of being worth 116, it would have only been worth 14,000. So you have to be really careful because you don't know which one is which. First of all, we don't know if we are going to see another bull run like we saw back in 2016, 2017. I can't say one way or another. My general thinking is I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it does happen, it's going to benefit me. Basically, it's going to benefit me if it does happen. So this is a very interesting point. Is if you're looking at the top 10, remember you don't know which one might see those really large increases potentially. And so it's important to manage your portfolio. Not financial advice, this is what I do. It's important that I manage my portfolio in a way that offsets different amounts of risk so that I don't go all in on one coin. So I hear people all the time say, hey, I'm going all in on whatever coin it might be. Like anytime I see that, I just roll my eyes and think to myself, may your bank account rest in peace, because more likely than not, it's not going to work out well. Maybe you get lucky, and congratulations if you do, but wouldn't you rather just have the peace of mind where you have a weighted portfolio that takes into account different aspects of the market, privacy coins, cross-border coins, just getting Bitcoin, instant coins like fast and free. I mean, things that are coin hedges, like coins that might be hedging against Ethereum or hedging against XRP, things that are trying to take market share from other coins. It's I think that's kind of stuff's important. Now, what if you were one of those all-in people? Okay, what if you just said, you know what, I know what I'm doing, I'm going all in on NXT. Okay, so if you had done that, this is what would have happened. You would have been this light blue curve. You would have peaked at around, not too bad actually, you would have peaked at around 300,000. The issue is you've only been worth 20,000 today. So you can see how drastic it can be compared to the other portfolio valuations you could have had. What if you had chosen Purecoin, which was in the top 10? You would have peaked at only $20,000. And currently today, I don't even have it on here, it would only be worth like $500. You would actually be sitting at a net loss. Don't go all in is my general standing. Clearly, it works out for some people. So if you're convinced that that's what you want to do, then do it. But if you decide to reevaluate your portfolio, and then the coin you were all in on skyrockets, then you have to be willing to accept that could happen. But the issue is we're human. We don't know what's going to happen. Just like most of us won't actually sell at the peak anyways. That's why you really should dollar cost average your way out up to the top, because you don't know where the peak is, and don't beat yourself up over not knowing where the peak is. You'd rather sell 20% here, 20% here, 20% here, 20% here, and 20% here than to sell 100% over here. It's pretty, in that sense, it's pretty simple. Now, what if we move out of the top 10, so the blue line is just weighting it by the top 10, but what if you weighted the top, let's say you took number 1, so Bitcoin, and then the ranked 50, 100, 150, and 200. Let's say you're going for those lower market cap coins, and this was back in 2015, so these are way down on market cap, these are really low. If you had taken these 5 coins, because you had Bitcoin, you still would have done pretty well, because it would have been weighted by market cap. so it would have primarily gone into Bitcoin. So you would have mostly gotten what you would have gotten just as if you had gotten weighted by the top 10, because most of it would be going to Bitcoin. But you would see some significant, maybe 40 grand difference in the peak, because you're not getting some of those like coins like XRP, Litecoin, Ethereum. Now, what if you excluded Bitcoin and you only got coins that were the number 50, 100, 150, and 200? So you just decided to say, you know what, I'm taking on all the risk. I'm going to get all these low cap market coins. I'm not going to even bother with the large market cap coins because I don't think they're going to go up that much. Well, this is what would have happened. Instantly, your portfolio would have taken a nosedive to less than $200. It would have gone back around $1,000. Then it would have gone all the way back down, less than $100. And currently, you'd be sitting at around maybe, $400 to $500 or so. I mean, this highlights how risky it can be for those of you who are, just going down coinmarketcap.com and finding, 10 different random coins on the list and putting $100 into them and just hoping it works out. Don't do that. I mean, do what you want. I'm not going to do that. Take the time, learn about the coins you're investing in, find the ones that have good communities, find the ones that actually have a real world use case, find the ones that are, they're solving problems, they're making their way into society, find those coins. Don't just find random coins that have a cool name next to them and you just throw money into it, because more than likely this is what your portfolio is going to do. That's more than likely what's going to happen. It's always possible, again, that you get lucky and you strike gold. But would you rather, the question is would you rather, have a 1% chance of striking gold, or increase your percentage of, striking silver or whatever it might be? So consider that when you're, really thinking about how you're weighting your portfolio, because these things matter. I mean, if we take off on another huge bull run like we saw 4 years ago, if that happens, I mean, even if it doesn't happen in 2020, like what happens if maybe this market cycle's longer, maybe the next peak isn't until 2023. There is one piece of evidence I looked at, and it kind of seems like it might not be 2021. Maybe it's not going to be for another year or two after that. I'd like to think it's a 4-year market cycle, and that's what I'm trying to operate on. But it's also important to be able to pivot to another strategy if you see the writing on the wall. But if you're thinking now, if you say like let's say you had $1,000 to put into cryptocurrency, and again, this is not financial advice, but if you did have $1,000, it can make a big difference where you put it. I mean, a huge difference. Just if you just throw it at some random coins, it might work out. But I mean, you can see here, if we just pull this graph up here, this is what you would have seen back then. These would have been your returns. Weighting it by market cap 92, square root of market cap 237K. This optimal, which you would have not been able to know, which would have been 335, but it turns out this is pretty much identical to $100 a coin, which would have given you $330,000. So, do what you want to do. I think one decent strategy could be weighting it, picking your weights, and then maybe reweighting it when Bitcoin reaches a previous all-time high. I think that's one way you could potentially do it, but it's up to you. I hope this video has been informative to you guys. I spent a lot of time making all these graphs. I have a lot more, but I think 15 or 16 graphs, however many this is plenty to go through, and you're probably getting bored at this point anyways. So I'll just go ahead and wrap up there. Again, I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, because I do like to do this type of analysis. It's different. I'm not going to just pull up TradingView every video and just talk about the RSI. That's not to say that I won't ever do that, but there is enough. There is a decent amount of that in the market already, so it might be somewhat saturated on YouTube. So we're trying to do some different stuff here, show you some stuff that you're not seeing elsewhere. So if you guys like this kind of content, please subscribe. And that's it for this video. Until next time, guys. Bye.